All right, welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Sticks. Cody Cropper, your host, Brandon, and it has been a bit, Cody, but we're back midweek. Going to be covering MLS update, kind of a league overall. We're getting close to the midway point. Obviously, we got to talk about Messi at this point. He still hasn't officially joined, but you'd be confused because the MLS website is covered in Messi articles and images. And then we'll look at the U.S. men's national team from the Nations League. Recent victory, lots to cover. The beginning of a busy soccer summer is well upon us.
Yes, it is. Very excited. Obviously, a lot to talk about. We have gone, 2 weeks since last recording, obviously, for various reasons. However, we are back, like Brandon said, and we have a lot to talk about. So let's get going.
All right. Well, dealer's choice. We got Messi, MLS update, or U.S. men's national team. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the U.S. men's national team.
All right. Well, as most of you probably know, the U.S. men's national team has recently lifted a trophy in the CONCACAF Nations League. We're in Group 1, which means we are essentially the big dogs. Cody, we're League A. There's League B and League C. And the best way I can describe this is like varsity, JV, and sophomores back in high school. There's a lot of countries in CONCACAF. There clearly isn't an even playing field. And so they calibrated it a little bit. This is its second year. We've won both. And it was quite successful for a myriad of reasons, but maybe we can just kick off in general, talking about the Nations League and kind of what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, I saw two. I only paid attention to the semifinal and the final, but I saw two dominating performances by the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, Christian Pulisic is that man for the U.S., puts the team on his shoulders. 25th international goal in the semifinal versus Mexico, and I mean, 2 goals in 25th. One of them being his 25th. I mean, it's impressive. So,
I mean, Christian hasn't played a lot domestically in the last year, right? So for him to show up, look sharp, look motivated, absolutely backpack the team, looks like the Captain America that we know he can be. I was most surprised about that, right? After essentially a very dismal season at Chelsea, not getting a lot of minutes, battling injuries again. He looked great in this one. And when you look at the Mexico game specifically, 3-0, Pulisic with the double, Ricardo Pepi in the 70th minute getting the third to seal it. Obviously, the 4 red cards was a pretty wild talking point on this. But Mexico, 1 shot on target. That's all they could muster. 54% possession. So they had the edge in possession, just didn't do anything with it.
Possession means nothing, Brandon. I mean,
someone has to have it is all I'm saying.
For sure. Someone has to have it, but it's also one of those things where if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't mean anything. And a team that has less possession and takes their chances in front of goal, I would rather be on that team, obviously, because they're winning the game. I don't need the ball. You know, like if I win the game, I win the game.
Handily won.
Yeah, exactly.
What about this? Turner in goal, Dest right back, Robinson and Richards center backs, Anthony Robinson left back, Musa and McKennie almost as like holding 6s, Weah out on a flank, Pulisic out on the left flank, Reyna as a 10 with Balogun. New debut Balogun as the striker in a 4-2-3-1. I mean, a lot of people are obviously going to be talking about Florian making his, debut after announcing that he would, be joining the U.S. men's national team, which was a big win. He's killing it in Liga in France. Technically, his parent club is Arsenal, but he's on loan and trying to figure out where he wants to go. And we need a striker. We know that. The U.S. has always needed goals. I mean, when's the last time what's his name? Brian McBride played. I mean, what are we doing here? Kidding. We had
that was a long time. That was a long time ago. But
we had Deuce.
I mean, we had Deuce. Charlie Davies was good for a little stint there.
Josie had his moments.
Josie had his moments for sure. But you're right. The U.S. needs an out-and-out 9. And I think, based on what I've seen of Florian, he's the real deal. And I think
Falarin.
Falarin.
Yeah, it's how you pronounce it, right? But
Florian, yeah, however you pronounce it, I think he could be a solid answer for the United States. And to be honest, I think this front four could be the front four moving forward. Gio Reyna, obviously, let's say this. Christian Pulisic is Captain America, right? He will more than likely find his way into just about any starting 11, no matter who the manager is. However, I think Gio Reyna and Tim Weah looked like the real deal in partnership with Christian in that 3 and with Florin in front of him. However.
Yeah.
Falarin.
So, I think what's interesting, right, is you go to FB Ref. Hey, what are some of his strengths? What are some of the people that he's compared to? FB Ref does a good job with this. You see there's, okay, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm going to stick to like the Højlund from Atalanta, who's getting a lot of looks, and Nketiah, who is at Arsenal, very comparable to Dusan Vlahovic, who's at Juventus, Marcus Thuram getting a lot of looks at Mönchengladbach. There are some crazy ones, Darwin Nunez, even Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski. I think that's partially because of just the position he plays. But within France, I mean, he's done so well this season. For 11th place Rhyme, I don't speak French, so I'm probably butchered that. 37 matches played, started 34 times, played essentially 3,000 minutes, scored 21 goals with 2 assists. And off of that, he had a 26.6 XG, which is very good. So again, per 90, he's at a goal every 80 minutes, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's obviously great. It's a great look for him, and it's what the U.S. needs.
Sorry,
they need
0.63. So anyways, he's not quite a goal a game, but every other.
Over half a goal a game.
Yeah.
Regardless, the U.S. needs that half a goal a game or that 0.6 goals per game. And being an out-and-out 9 is going to be huge. Then obviously you look at the depth. You have Pepe, you have Vazquez, you have who's the other one that I'm thinking of? Came off started the game in the World Cup and then got subbed at halftime. Striker of Dallas.
I know.
Blanking on his name.
Ferreira.
And that's great depth. Now we just need these players getting the minutes that they need at a high level.
So, it's competitive, right? Mexico, U.S. versus Mexico, 3-0. We're 13th. Mexico's 15th, from FIFA rankings. I don't know the Mexican lineup that well. I saw a lot of Mexican media after the fact slamming their team, talking about how they're nowhere near as good as they used to be. I mean, Ochoa's still in the net. Some of the big names that I think I'm most familiar with, aren't there anymore. And so it's probably a bit of a shuffling of the deck, but soccer in Mexico is the national sport. Their best athletes play soccer, not in the US by any standard at all. And so for us to just, take it to them and wax, it was April 19th. We drew 1-1. And it was a very, very different looking team on both of them. You'd assume that based on that lineup and this lineup, it's probably closer to their best teams. And the U.S. just bodied Mexico in this game.
Yeah.
The goals, Christian in 37th minute, then 46th, Pepe the 79th. Just the way we opened them up, and Mexico had to end up reverting to just like kicking people and starting fights and trying to disrupt the U.S. It worked a little bit, We had the big one where they just took a whack at Balogun, right? And that's when I think it was Antuna got sent off. McKennie went looking for a fight. He got it. He got sent off. And then obviously the Serginho Dest and the he was a sub, Arteaga. Arteaga, he'd been on the pitch for 10 minutes before doing that. That just shows that Mexico had completely lost the plot. Unfortunately, I think the U.S. got pulled into it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure they did. Obviously, the U.S. in that moment Mexico is frustrated. They, and rightly so, because as you said, they got bodied by the US. So they're frustrated. They start kicking people. The US is riding a high horse. And you can even tell by McKennie's reaction to the first red card, how he's kind of flaunting around, looking to pick a fight, picks the fight, walks away, starts kissing the crest. And it's like, in my opinion, it's a little much, little over the top. But I think it's one of those games where you are starting to see that heated rivalry come back. It's been years, in my opinion, since you've seen these two teams at a level playing surface where one team hasn't been significantly better than the other. Yes, the scoreline says that the U.S. was better by a long shot. However, Mexico made it difficult. And it wasn't just because they turned the game dirty or they started to kick people or whatever it is. They did compete for a good chunk of time. However, the U.S. was able to open them up in certain scenarios. I think that this is going to be, in partnership with Canada coming into it, these are going to be very, very good competitive games moving forward. And you look at the talent in each pool of, Mexico's pool, the US's pool, and Canada's pool, and there are world-class players.
You go back to June 6, 2021, the U.S. is undefeated against Mexico. We've got win, 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 draw, draw, and now obviously this one is another emphatic win. So great run for the U.S. and Mexico were undefeated. Granted, they had 3 draws and 2 wins. And their wins are coming against Guatemala and Suriname, but so it's not, whatever. But you got to beat who's in front of you, and we beat Mexico. Felt good, looked good. My only complaint was, hey, good result, but have some awareness. It's tournament football. You got a final. Weston, you can't go looking for that in a semifinal. Dest, you can't react like that in a semifinal, knowing you're going to be suspended for the next leg. And I do feel bad with Dest though, because he got rocked in the face, right? And
he did, but you can't retaliate.
I agree.
But you can't retaliate and put your hands on somebody's neck.
And I would agree. And I would agree, right? I'm just saying, between Weston's and Dest, I have more sympathy for Dest, but
for sure,
he should also know he plays in Europe. Hey, you're already down 1. You can't go down 2. But the subs came in and did a job, because the next game for the U.S. was against our northerly neighbors, Canada, FIFA ranked 47. 2-0. Richards in the 12th minute, Belligan in the 34th minute, done and dusted. Canada really not offering much of anything in terms of a challenge in this one, if I'm just being honest and completely biased.
Yeah. I would agree. Another game in which the U.S. looked in control of from the first minute. Tactically, Canada was outclassed. And it's always good to see 2 players get their first international goal. So Falarin getting his in his second appearance, and Chris Richards getting his in his 10th. So, congrats to those guys, and, hopefully the first of many.
So this team, I got to figure out which app it is to get the average age of these teams, Cody. They're young.
I have it here. Youngest starting 11 lineup in a final in U.S. soccer history. 23 years and 214 days.
23.
Yeah.
Because I look at this, right? Turner in goal. What is he? Old man Turner on the pitch. 28. Yeah. We had a few
Walker
changes. Walker's 30. So Walker's old man. Probably needs a walker. Just kidding. Love you, Zim. Scally came in for Dest. Zim came in at center back, and we switched to a 4-3-3. Chris Richards at left center back, Anthony Robinson at left back. Gio Reyna moving to that midfield 3 instead of his proper 10. Musa was the holding in the 3, and then Aronson on the right side of the midfield. Weah out right, Balogun down the middle, and Pulisic out left. So just a tweak essentially in kind of the midfield shape from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3. Not massive, but it just shows. We'll get into BJ a little bit later, how it went for them. I thought De La Torre looked good when he came on. I was really happy with Pepe, what we saw from him as well. And we made 4 subs, so you got to see more players because it was very comfortable in the second half of this game. Canada on the flip side didn't really offer much. You look through their kind of ratings in this one, nothing great. But as you love to hear it, Canada was 64% possession, Cody.
Doesn't mean anything unless you do something with it.
Just wanted to double down on that since you had such a strong opinion recently. Canada's been on the up and up, right?
They have
qualified for the last World Cup, kind of surprised some people. Jonathan David, had a bit of a renaissance. Obviously, Alphonso Davies, absolutely at the top of the game. Yeah. And so, they've got some players back there. I think we even saw the fact that Milan Borjan had some really, really good games and kind of stood out. You've got Richie Laryea, who did well on the right side.
Richie Laryea.
But they looked like the Canada of old from my perspective. And so I'm just trying to balance, like, is the U.S. flying that high right now where we can just dominate Mexico, walk Canada in a final after getting 2 starters sent off the previous match? That are we just killing it right now, or has maybe the timing benefited us and it's just a benefit maybe for us versus our opponents?
I think you might be getting a little carried away. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I don't think the US is 3-0 versus Mexico and 2-0 versus Canada good. I think they are a very good team. However, I think the other 2 teams underperformed, and the U.S. was better on the day and took advantage of those moments and scored the goals when the opportunities came. I would be interested to know the, shots against. For, you said Mexico had 1. How many did Canada have?
Yeah, Canada got 4 shots on target to the US's 7. So they faced 5 shots on target in 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that speaks to the true strength of either team, either opponent. So like I said, it will be interesting to see how these games play out over the coming years and the upcoming fixtures against each other, because I do believe that both teams are very good and have plenty of depth in their player pools, and I don't think that you'll see the U.S. roll these teams over like this again. But I could be wrong. I could be, playing devil's advocate here.
Well, you're just hedging, right? Because you also know the ups and downs of this life, and international football is the hardest because of the zero consistency in time to prepare. I would say about Christian, who won MVP of the tournament, don't bet against a man who's playing for his next contract. Christian is looking for a new home this summer, and he put on a display reminding everybody that when he feels comfortable and you put trust in him, he can do a lot. And I think they're respectable opponents in Canada and Mexico. What we will find out, Cody, real quick, is what is next for this national team. They've got Jamaica on the 24th of June. They've got St. Kitts on the 28th of June. They've got Trinidad and Tobago on the 2nd of July. That's 3 games. CONCACAF Nations League, gone. CONCACAF Gold Cup, hello. They've got 3 games in a week, essentially, in 8 days. We're going to find out real quick, and it's home, away, home. So there's travel involved. It is going to be tough. Do you know what the biggest difference is going to be from the Nations League to the Gold Cup?
No.
Yeah, you do. GREGG Berhalter back as manager of the U.S. men's national team. BJ, my man, it was fun while it lasted. I love this, the meme, the graphic going around on social media saying, with the picture of BJ saying, I'm not the step coach. I'm the coach that stepped up. And there's a lot of memes going around with this because he took this team since January, right? Not a lot of time. The team looks settled. The team looks free flowing. They can play a couple different formations. They're scoring goals. Why do something different? But US, obviously US Soccer, they hired their new whatever director, at the top, right? They had to get him installed. And obviously the first thing that he was going to do was hire the men's national team. And unfortunately, instead of doing something maybe crazy or trying to do something different, we went right back to the same old with Berhalter returning.
Matt Crocker played.
Yes.
Actually, he was at Southampton when I was there. I know Matt very well.
Do you really?
Yes.
You want to touch on him at all? Because I think a lot of people probably don't know much about him, obviously, because he's a behind the scenes guy from Europe or from England specifically.
Yeah. Very good guy, very intelligent. I was honestly shocked to see that he was the one that got this role. I didn't realize that was, I guess, or that he was at that level. However, it was almost 10 years ago now that I worked with him at Southampton. So, he's obviously come a long way and done his due. And the U.S. did their due diligence on bringing who they believe to be the right man for the job in. And I can't say I agree or disagree with his decision to bring Berhalter back. Only time will tell. But, I think there needs to be an unbiased view on Berhalter, and I think everybody needs to allow him to kind of settle back in and kind of get his feet wet and hopefully take this team to where BJ had it going. Obviously, BJ was one of his assistants, correct? And is that right? BJ was one of his assistants.
I think so, right? Yeah.
So I would assume that everything has been the same really under BJ that it was under Berhalter, and now Berhalter coming back is only going to be good. The players were publicly supportive of him and bringing him back and wanted him back. So if that's what the players want, then Crocker makes the right decision in bringing him back.
Look, you and I have complained about the good old boys club of U.S. Soccer. He's an absolute outsider. He's not from the New England area of the United States. He doesn't owe anybody anything here. And I am shocked, right, that we have gone this route. And I'm shocked in a great way. I'm quite happy with this. I think he's going to bring a new level of standards and kind of forcing. What I would ask is that, or what I would point out is that also Oguchi Onyewu was named vice president of sporting. So he will be working for Matt, doing a lot of club relations, some, scouting, things of that. And he was also involved with Matt to essentially rehire GREGG Berhalter. But this shocked me, right? I read all the things about Matt. I was excited. Hey, we're going to change, shake and move. And then we brought GREGG Berhalter back. Christian Pulisic after the Nations Cup, whatever it was, right? Yeah, the Nations League saying, this is built off of the back of what GREGG did. We know Christian is super pro GREGG, but we know that there's quite a few players that are not pro GREGG, right? And we know that there are issues. GREGG even came out and said, no, I've not talked to Zach Steffen. I've not talked to Gio Reyna. I've not talked to Pepe since before the World Cup. These are relationships he's going to have to repair. And I'm assuming he's going to take charge for the Gold Cup. and we're going to see real quick what it's going to be. But it's an interesting headline. They say Berhalter was chosen to lead the U.S. men's national team to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is a contract through the World Cup. So this is it. Unless it goes completely sideways on qualifying, he's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Obviously, results matter, and he will be judged on results moving forward. I think before, leading into the most recent World Cup, that wasn't the case. I think part of his role, was to transition U.S. soccer from the old guard to the new guard, and he did that. And I think now he will be based on results and how the team does at the next World Cup, and if they are living up to the expectations that have been put on, these players' shoulders.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, a lot is the answer when you ask what is going on with the U.S. men's national team. The good news is so far on the pitch, the results are good. New changes, new faces, old faces returning. We're going to see how it all shakes out. But look, I've been enjoying watching the U.S. men's national team again. When we got knocked out of the World Cup, with Klinsmann and Bruce and that whole debacle, Cody, I cooled on the men's national team. Got back in it for this World Cup, thankfully, because there's actually something to pay attention to. Felt like it ended on a bad note. Then the whole GREGG BERHALTER reign of family drama just got nasty, turned me off again. I did watch the semifinals and the finals, got excited about that. So I don't know, hopefully we can continue the momentum, but like as a fan, I am tired of getting jerked around by this organization. And I just want some smart people to get involved, drive this forward, stop the nonsense, and become a serious contender in international football and international soccer. And that's what we want. So that's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm hoping. And unfortunately, I can't tell you today that I believe that we're there yet, because with all the new changes, we're going to have to wait and see again. But it is what it is.
That is true. That is true, sir.
All right, quick break before we head over to the MLS. Cody's got another sponsor, and I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, he described it to me before the pod as, when you're really just a child like me, this is my favorite go-to meal.
Noodles, creamy cheddar mac and cheese. Look, this stuff is unbelievable. Noodles, gooder goodles. It is 14 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, and 21 nutrients from plants. It is not dairy-free, but it is vegetarian. And look, when you're an adult and you have that moment where you just need the throwback to your childhood, this is the stuff to eat. It is fantastic. Get yours just about any grocery store, I believe, at least the ones out here in California right now, and even at Costco. So check it out.
All right. Well, link in the description. But yeah, I think between cereal and mac and cheese, Cody, can't go wrong, especially when you're away from your wife and you have to cook for yourself.
Exactly. Keep it easy. Simple.
Oh, man. I love it. All right. MLS chat. It's been a little bit. A lot has been going on. There are games happening as we speak. So some of the standings might shuffle, but we are 19 matches into the season. We're starting to see a little disparity, though. Some teams have played 19 all the way down to 16 matches. So again, sucks if you're going to have to make these up. Eastern Conference, Cincinnati at the top with 43 points. Nashville second, 35. New England Revolution third. Philly fourth. Orlando fifth. And then I would say at the bottom, 13th is Toronto, 14th Chicago, 15th Miami. That's Messi's Miami to you. Western Conference, St. Louis City SC with 29 points. Again, big disparity on points between the East and the West. LAFC in second, also on 29 points. Seattle third on 28. San Jose fourth on 27. And fifth is Dallas on 26. Super, super tight because all the way down to ninth is 21 points. There's not a big spread in the playoff race. And then the bottom three is Austin on 19. LA is in 13th on 13, and Colorado Rapids 14th place on 13 points. So bottom of the league is Colorado, then LA, then Inter Miami. Those are the bottom three overall. What do you want to talk about in regards to MLS? I think you were shocked when I told you that the Messi transfer isn't actually official.
Yeah, I am kind of shocked by that because MLS is broadcasting it all over the place as it's a done deal. There are rumors going around that Inter Miami is close to a deal with players such as Sergio Busquets because of Lionel Messi. I don't.
Did you say Luis Suarez too?
Possibly Luis Suarez, but he says he's retiring, and the club that he's currently playing for is agreeing to mutually terminate his contract. However, they are apparently adding a clause that says we'll mutually terminate as long as you do not sign for Inter Miami.
Interesting. So. You might be confused, Cody, because on the homepage of MLSsoccer.com, it says the Messi Insider. Get the best Messi coverage straight to your inbox. Sign up for our email list here. The banner story, Lionel Messi would bring unprecedented opportunity to MLS from the Inter Miami owner. Then the top three stories are all about Messi. He has his own subsection with 4 articles there. You can't get enough of it, apparently. We'll see. But I tell you what, it technically is not there. All he has done is stated his intent to get it done. But there's a lot going on, right? This deal, we were talking about in a text thread, right? Not only equity, but apparently revenue share with Apple for subscriptions. He's already a lifelong contract with Adidas, right? He's obviously the face of Adidas when it comes to soccer and football. He would be getting a revenue share for like all team merchandise, not just his jersey. There's a lot of things that he's getting tied to, which I think is pretty interesting. And that's before you even get into the equity, side of him getting ownership in the club. So, wow. Messi to the MLS, coming off winning a World Cup. What's your reaction to this? Is this big? Is this a bit wild? Is this good for the league? I mean, is Messi going to fly private to the matches by himself? I mean, what are we doing?
It's a great question. I think it's great for soccer in the United States. I am shocked that he made the decision to come here, especially seeing not that he needs the money, but the money that he was offered in Saudi Arabia. I think he's even still doing a deal in Saudi Arabia.
He's an ambassador for Visit Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, $25 million over 3 years or something like that. And I mean, he gets 3 all expense paid for 20 people, friends and family per year.
Money's not the issue for Messi.
Money's not the issue. So
he loves Miami.
He owns a home in Miami already.
Loves the visit.
So I think, although shocking, I think it's going to be very good for MLS. It's going to be very good for soccer in the United States. And I think it's going to be good for Inter Miami because Inter Miami is terrible. So it sounds like Tata Martino is going to come in and be manager as well. Messi is pulling all the strings, which, to be fair, I don't know if that was his doing.
Well, I mean, it does. All I'm saying is that, look, Messi has
coincides. It coincides. I think it's a coincidence because there were rumors that they were already linked with Tata before Messi.
So who knows how long this discussion has been going. Yeah. But my point is just, who cares? If you're going to go all in on Messi, go all in on Messi, right? Like, it
Give him
doesn't
what he
hurt.
wants.
It doesn't hurt. And I would say
Yeah.
he pulled the strings at Barcelona. He probably didn't pull as many strings at PSG, but he did what he wanted, right? Like he is a player kind of like LeBron that, goes above, he is bigger than some of the teams he's played on, rightly or wrongly. And when he wants his way, like he's got it. I'm pretty sure he was against Luis Enrique at Barcelona, gone, didn't want to play that style, too much running. Have you seen the memes about essentially Messi taking on defenders, right? Where it's like grown men dribbling around the hordes of children. You saw the meme I sent you about Messi looking out his window, seeing a Bass Pro Shops, a Waffle House after a 1-0 draw or 1-1 draw against Sporting Kansas City in the heartland of the U.S. Like it's going to be interesting. Do you think he's going to walk the league, or do you think it's not going to be that straightforward? It's not as hard. It's just different. I think that's what everybody said. This league is just different.
It is. It's very different. And I think there will be certain things that he struggles to adapt to. That said, he has the backing to put himself in the best physical position to not struggle. LeBron, for example, spends $1 million on his body every year. Messi is probably going to have to do the same thing if he wants to be the same player that he's been and is known to be. That said, traveling is much different in this league, and it will take its toll, and it will take time for him to adjust to that. It's also going to take time for him to adjust to playing on turf regularly. One of Miami's rivals is Atlanta, and they play on turf.
So a couple things, right? Thierry Henry famously would not play on turf. And
Zlatan famously would not play on turf either.
Would he not?
Unless it was a playoff.
Stevie G completely embarrassed himself, saying he didn't even know that the league operated in the way it did. Right. Frank Lampard came in, did a job, didn't really light up the league. Schweinsteiger, honestly, pretty forgettable. Pirlo made a difference. So I'm thinking like Zlatan was the best one that came in, maybe David Villa, and like zero transition, took the league on, scored a ton of goals, made an instant impact. Stevie G, forgettable. Like, hey, this didn't work. Where do you think he's going to be on that kind of scale?
I think he's going to be the most impactful of all of them. I really do. I think he's too good not to be the number one on that list.
You're not
it's Messi.
Wrong. Who bets against Messi? My man won the World Cup. So the $50 to $60 million a year, that is before equity. I'm sorry, that includes salary, signing bonus, and equity, but it doesn't include any of the rev share deals with Apple, Adidas, Fanatics, which is wild. He'll be the highest paid athlete in the United States. So what I like about this deal, Cody, is that it is tied his bonuses, right? His accelerators, his rev share are tied to growing the game in the US. I think that's what I'm most fascinated about, right? When he joined the team, Inter Miami, they became like the third most followed sports franchise in the entirety of the US on Instagram. And, he's got like I think he has like just shy of 1 billion social media followers. So if he points his audience to the MLS and raises the profile, he literally is going to be putting money in his pocket. And I was listening to a podcast called the All In Podcast, and Chamath was talking about how this was such a brilliant deal because every time Messi does a clippable moment at MLS, it's going to put money back in his pocket. It's almost like he has equity in the league as an owner. And so I found the structure of this deal to be fascinating. And very, very unique. It's similar to the Beckham deal, right? That's the closest one that everybody's comparing it to, but this one is so much more advanced. And I don't think there's any other player in the world that you could do this for other than Messi. I don't even think Ronaldo would be able to have the effect that Messi did. I think he's just a better fit. Like, no offense, I feel like Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia was the fit. Messi coming to MLS was a fit, and it was the good one. So I'm really excited. And I don't think you can get a ticket to Inter Miami game the rest of the season.
No, I don't think you can. And I think they jumped from, I think they have a home game on July 1st. It was like $18 a ticket. And their next home game after that is like $400 plus. And you can't get a ticket anywhere that Inter Miami plays the rest of the season.
Hey, I am not a Swiftie, so call me a Messi, because I would pay $400 to watch Lionel Messi play.
I don't know if I'd pay $400 to watch Inter Miami play, but
I didn't say that.
I'd pay $400 to watch Messi play.
I wouldn't spend $400 to watch Inter Miami play at all either. But I would for the man, the myth, the legend, Lionel Messi. All right. Well, there's more going on in the league because, like I said, he's not even in the league. Hilarious as that is. You want to talk about one player who's absolutely just bossing the league right now, playing so well. And we can kind of touch on a couple other things here, but Mukhtar, Nashville SC, what's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's the real deal for me. Simply that man for Nashville. He really is. I think he just scored his 13th goal of the season, which puts him on track to score more goals than he did last year, which is the year he won the MVP. So could go back to back for the league's most valuable player. But on top of that, he is one of 3 players in a 3-year span to score 50 goals and assist on 30 goals or more. And the other 2 were Robbie Keane and Sebastian Giovinco. Now, those are both legends in this league, legendary players outside of this league. I think that says a lot to the impact that Hani Mukhtar is having, not only for Nashville but for the league.
You know, I was looking at some of the top level stats, like on the player stat side, and you're right. He's got the most goals with 13. Bouanga with LAFC is 10. Jesus Ferreira 10. Giacomakis 10. And then, it starts to go down from there. He is electric, right? Because he's not a poacher.
No,
he creates for himself on the dribble, and then he creates for his teammates because he knows he's so dangerous that they're going to probably end up doubling on him and trying to find a way. And I think that's what's hard, because we all knew about Mukhtar, right? This isn't his breakout season where now everyone's scrambling to kind of adjust to him. If you can make a name for yourself and come back the next season and be even better, that is super, super impressive to see him come back and just do something like that. So, I think it's fantastic. And not only that, Cody, Nashville SC is not an offensive powerhouse, right?
No,
when you look at the goals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're 5th total. They got 28 goals, but they've only allowed 13. They've allowed the fewest goals in the league by a bit, right? And so to me, that's also what's really impressive about it. It's not like they're a free-flowing offensive, hey, let's score more goals than the other team. They're going after the nitty-gritty results, be tough to beat, and then let Mukhtar essentially run at everybody else and figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's, like you said, he's just simply electric. And it's one of those players that you look at and you think he is changing. He is impacting the game in the United States in the manner in which you would hope a designated player would. And he doesn't have the name. He didn't have the hype like others before him have, but he is delivering on the big stage.
Yeah. Couple other kind of high level stats. Cincinnati still undefeated at home, 10-0 at home. They have a phenomenal home record, really holding on to that. The opposite is Colorado. What is going on? How are they winless at home, Cody? I've had you and multiple athletes come onto this podcast and tell me how difficult it is to play in Denver. They have mustered 4 draws at home and 0 wins.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that one.
Totally fair.
It is a very difficult place to play. I think that speaks volumes to where that organization is at. From a players union side of things, I've heard it is arguably one of the worst teams in the league to play for, in terms of dealing with ownership, dealing with training facilities, dealing with where the stadium is located, everything of that sort. So I don't think they do themselves any favors. The organization itself doesn't do themselves any favors in terms of attracting players. And I think they're just poorly managed right now.
Yeah.
So I think that all plays a part in where that organization is at in terms of not being able to win at home, because that is, in my opinion, them as a team, group of players, organization letting themselves down, because that should be a fortress for them.
Yeah, Mile City, right? You've got the thinner air, the ball travels differently. Like obviously the lack of oxygen compared to everywhere else. Like you would think that there are some very tangible ways that they should have an advantage. We talked about Cincy having the most wins with 13. The most losses is Miami. They have 5 wins, 12 losses, and no ties. It is not good for the former manager, Phil Neville, obviously sacked because of it. And then the most draws is Toronto. 3 wins, 6 losses, and 10 draws. They just can't seem to get much going either. So I don't know if either of those surprises you, because when everyone talked about Messi, they're like, why is he going to one of the worst teams in the league, with Inter Miami, like I said, being 27th of 29th in the league. But like I said, with all of the players that are about to come and Tata Martino and all these things, like it's going to be an unrecognizable team.
It is. That franchise will be flipped on its head. I think that there were certain corners that were cut because it was David Beckham's organization. And I don't think things were done correctly. You look at the way St. Louis City's come into this league compared to the way Inter Miami did. Or you look at the way that Atlanta United came into the league in comparison to the way FC Cincinnati did. Some teams do it the right way, others do not. And there are a handful of teams on each side of the line that have done it incorrectly. And I think Inter Miami was one of them. I think that they went out and they tried to sign big names to draw crowds, or big names to sell shirts, not big names, not signing players to build the organization around, such as Atlanta United or St. Louis City.
Yeah. It's, again, I've talked about this league is fascinating for all the funniest reasons, and it can change so quickly. And I was kind of looking at the top to bottom teams, right? LA Galaxy, obviously having the issues. Even Chicago, they've kicked on a little bit. Austin have tried to kick on a little bit. Kansas City went from rock bottom up to 20th overall in the league. DC United 17th. Real Salt Lake and Charlotte were bad. They're now middle of the league. Montreal, who had the terrible run, they're in the top half of the league. It is just kind of fascinating how this shakes out. And we're getting ready to have the what is the other? There's so many different games that we have here. What is coming up this summer?
Leagues Cup.
The Leagues Cup. That's right. So that's about to hit here in the next couple of weeks, right? And disrupt again. And we're not going to know what the league's going to come out again. But really, really interesting league. And I think Apple's growing into it a little bit, right? I think the 360 show needs to continue to be tweaked and figure that out. But I would say that the team that are covering the matches, the streaming, and how those things are going, that's the infrastructure that's able to build off of, which is good. And so I don't know. Overall, I look at the league, Cody, and I'm like, I think they're in a pretty good spot. But what do you think? You're talking to your friends, you're talking to players, you've been in it and watching it and all these things. Like, how are they doing even post COVID? I don't know how well we've talked about that, because that was hard 2 seasons.
Yeah, that was a very difficult 2 seasons. But to touch on the difficulties of this year and the expected player load, the expected game load on the players is taking its toll. I think you're seeing that with the amount of injuries that are popping up, with the amount of rotation that squads or organizations are making from competition to competition, week to week, game to game, whatever it might be. That said, it's one that I think the league and the country of the United States needs, because in order to become a respected league in a respected footballing country across the world, they need to be playing these games, this amount of games, because it then competes with or matches what countries such as England, countries such as Italy, countries such as Spain are doing year after year after year, and the amount of games that those players are playing, because they play just as many games, if not more.
I don't know how many players this is. It's probably like over 60 players so far, Cody. And I know there's 29 teams that are well over 80% of the minutes played. And I'm just going through this to see, yeah. And if you go down to 75% of the minutes played, oh yeah, I mean, you're well over 100 some players at this point, right? At this point in the season, having played 75, 80, 90% of the minutes, and assuming that you look, a lot of these players are probably goalkeepers as well, because they tend to play the majority of minutes. Tyler Miller is the only player in the league that has played every single minute in the regular season with 1,710 different. But you've got Soloy and Click and Chara, Lovitz, Maher, Moore, like all the way up and well over 1,600 minutes played this season. How is that for pacing? Do you kind of have any idea as far as, that workload, knowing that a ton, well over 100 some players, 100, 150, 180 players have already played 75 or more % of the minutes?
Look, there is all the science in the world that can tell you these players are capable of doing it. They have strength and conditioning coaches and statistical analysis coaches that are managing all of this. They are capable of doing it. However, the issue is at what point is it too much, and at what point will they pick up an injury that could be small, could be big, and then keeps them out longer, right? So adjusting from last season to this year is a big change. If you look at the amount of games played in 2020 and in 2021 compared to 2023, it's a significant difference, because those were COVID years. Guys coming off of those years struggled. And, myself included, being one of them. I went all of 2020 being rostered with the Houston Dynamo, not playing a single minute, going into 2021 and playing 15 games between FC Cincinnati and being on loan at Memphis 901. And remembering the impact and feeling the impact that not playing for X amount of months has. So getting into this rhythm of playing every 4 days is going to be taxing. Now, it's how the teams and the organizations manage that and how they help their players to recover by providing them the resources, by providing them the facilities, by providing the correct nutrition. Some clubs do a better job than others, and that is a fact.
Trying to see here. Obviously, I think the regular season, right, is a little bit, fixed. But then we had the MLS's back tournament in 2020. You remember that fun thing? But even the league, right? 2020, the regular season, they played 23 games. 2021, they jumped to 34. Yeah. Big jump. And that's just regular season, right? 2022 held at 34, adding competitions. And now this season, will be at least 34 games in the regular season, as well as that Leagues Cup and all these other things. And it's something we're going to have to pay attention to and keep your ear on what's going on. But anyways, that's it. We're back. It's really good to kind of take the macro level view instead of always reacting to game stuff like this. But with Messi and the U.S. men's national team, so much going on. I don't know. It's a busy time of the year, without a doubt. What is 4th of July kind of like your Christmas for NBA players, where you guys just don't really get to celebrate that one? There's games on the 2nd.
I mean, yeah. Usually it'll be, a game on the 2nd, which is the Saturday, correct?
Yeah, this year, 4th of July is on the 4th, on the Tuesday.
Okay, so games are on the 1st and on the 2nd. So depending on, if you're lucky, you have a game on the 1st and you get the Sunday off. You maybe go for a Sunday fun day. I can remember doing that in New England one year.
Little float down the river?
No, not down the river. We were just we were in Seaport. We were bouncing around from legal seafood to a few different restaurants and bars in that area, and we had a grand old time together. I think that was 2019. Yeah. But yeah, if you're lucky, you're playing on a Saturday and you get a Sunday fun day on the Sunday, and maybe a late start on Monday.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen. They play Saturday, 1 game Sunday, and back on Tuesday, the 4th of July, and Wednesday, July 5th. Tough. And then back again Saturday, July 8th. Literally no rest for these players. Cody, great to hear from you. Great to see you. We will be back with more content as we continue to review the league and Gold Cup. So there's no shortage of stuff going on. Hope you're enjoying it. We missed you. Good to see you back. Leave the 5-star review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify helps other people find us. But anyways, we'll be back with more content after the next week. Take care.